Go.
No doubt about it, the summertime heat is in full swing, but look at how we are choosing to beat the heat this morning. We are up at Rising Fawn, Georgia, actually at Above the Clouds Inn, talking with Dave Bowling. He and his wife Carol own this beautiful spot on God's earth, and thanks for the invitation up this morning.
Thank you for coming.
I'm not quite sure how to have this conversation with you, if I'm going to be honest.
Okay.
Because initially I would think, oh, let's tell everybody about Above the Clouds Inn and how they too can enjoy this view, which we'll tell you about. But then I've learned about you, Dave Bowling, and you have had a fascinating life. So when people come here, if they want to strike up a conversation with you, they should.
Well, we enjoy meeting new people, and we find so many things in common with folks who come that we didn't have any idea was going to happen.
Well, let's be a bit of a storyteller
Okay.
this morning. So first of all, when you choose to come here to Above the Clouds Inn, it's really three different units that you
Yes.
can rent, right?
Yes.
They are?
We have the chalet, which is the bigger, and right next to it is what we call the Hawk's Nest. It's finished all in natural wood. And then we have the Cloudview Suite, which is next door, and it's finished in modern farm decor.
So they are different sizes too,
Different
depending
sizes.
on the size of the
Yep.
party.
Mm-hmm.
So the Hawk's Nest with all the woodwork that's in there, that's fitting because Dave and I are sitting here talking, and he's had this interesting life I told you about. So I'm going to go back in time.
Okay.
Born and raised in the Tampa area.
Yes.
Married your high school sweetheart
Yes.
when you were 19.
Yes.
Met her when you were 16.
Yes.
And all these years later, y'all are still married.
Still together, 64 years.
64 years. About 50 years ago, you were up here, is that right?
Yes.
Visiting Cloudland Canyon.
Yes.
And what did you say to Carol?
Well, I said, wouldn't it be lovely to live in a spot like this? And we were just on vacation, and this, of course, this area here we didn't know about, but Cloudland Canyon was just a beautiful spot. And living in Florida and flatland, we didn't have any mountains to enjoy. So,
Right.
And here, 40 years later, about 40 years later, God called us up here to a church, and then we found this little spot on this country road, and here we are.
So the God calling them up here to be at the church. So Dave was always a singer.
Yes.
And so he was singing one day. You were asked to fill in for a church down there in the Orlando area. And next thing you know, but you became a minister of worship.
I did. It was a real small choir, and I had gone back to college to get my music degree officially. And every Wednesday when I'd come to rehearsal, they'd say, "Dave, teach us what you learned today in school." And it was really a sweet time.
While you were there in Florida, everybody will always reference when you ask, oh, where are you from in Florida? They hope, I think, you're going to say Orlando.
Oh,
You ended up in Orlando,
yes.
and then we find out on a total lark that what did you help to do?
Well, I helped build Disney World.
Just a little something.
Yeah, it was. My dad was a contractor, and we started there when it was nothing but a sand dune and a couple ponds, and there was no buildings there, so we started then.
People old enough to remember the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea ride,
Yeah.
you built that.
I built that. It's not there anymore, but I built it.
The hotel that everyone goes through when you're on the tram,
Yeah,
that it goes through.
my dad put all the steel in that building.
So that circles me back to why when I said the Hawk's Nest having the woodwork done in it, you are a builder of things.
Yes.
So you have somebody here staying as we're talking to you this morning, and I think it was that guest who just came
Yes.
forward a minute ago. He obviously has a son,
Yes.
and you're wanting to do something that you do with a lot of the kids. What is it that you're
Well,
doing?
I make fossil reproductions. Kids, most little kids, they like dinosaurs and megalodon sharks and great white sharks, and I make those things and sell them on eBay. And so whenever there's a child comes in that might show an interest in that, I like to take them over to the shop and let them make a T-Rex tooth or something like that to take back home.
So I can imagine that you're sitting there thinking, okay, but what does all this fascinating story have to do with the scenery at Above the Clouds Inn? But it all gets woven into it, Dave, because you see this as a ministry.
Yes.
People come here to take in the view, and then you kind of talk to them too.
Well, I like to say that God does good work when they look out here, because they, do you ever get tired of this? No. And I feel like Carol and I have the blessing of being ministers to people who come that have needs that we don't even know about until we read afterwards in the guest book, the trials or something. They needed a getaway, a place for God to deal with them and help them. And so in that way, it's been an extension of our ministry that when we were full time in church.
There's a coziness to it here. So you can choose lots of places to kind of have a getaway, but sometimes if a space is overly large, it can keep you from turning inward a little bit. Even your back deck back here, there's plenty of room, but it's not massive. So what you really focus on is that view.
Yes, yes. And it never gets old. It changes from season to season. And every year I take a picture of a little hickory tree that grew just by itself out of the rocks, and I'll take a picture of it when it's green, take a picture of it when it's bare, snow on it sometimes, and the colors. And so we've watched this grow. This tree right here was about this big around.
When you first got here.
And the carpenters wanted to cut it down. I said, no, build the deck around it, and see, it's still there.
And it shades people and lets them tell their own stories.
Yes.
So to book you at Above the Clouds Inn, they actually go online to...
VRBO is the company that publishes our and promotes our sites.
and then it's called Above the Clouds Chalet.
Above the Clouds Chalet,
Okay.
and Hawk's Nest, and Cloudview Suite. And folks, of course, local folks who, even though we have people from all over the country, and actually from as far away as Ireland and Hawaii, you know, a lot of people just get up here for
the weekend.
For the weekend, so.
It's really a wonderful respite and a lot cooler. We can attest to that. One more example of the beauty that's here in Dade County. The Alliance for Dade has been so great to show us all these places and give us a guided tour that we then get to share with you. So there's that information. Come find the view for yourself and find out more about Dade's stories, because I think that we've just tapped the surface.
Well, thank you for coming.
Buyers are out there. Curious what your home is worth? Let Onward Chattanooga Homes do our free home assessment. We'll walk your property. We'll even give you advice to help sell your home, even if you do not list with us. Onward sells Chattanooga Homes.
The garage door is like a system. Everything works together.
They can call us out because the opener's not working, but if it's not working, it could be because the springs are wore out.
Fixing broken garage doors, that's what we do here at Precision.
Precision Door Service.